Last night's Ubuntu Awards celebrated citizens who play an active role in projecting a positive image of South Africa through service. Mthetheo Tshemese, a clinical psychologist turned musician, won the Social Responsibility Award. Now, his story is an inspirational one, working with disadvantaged communities and focusing on access for men and boys to mental health care. And he joins me now. Good evening to you and welcome. Congratulations on the award. How does it feel?
Good evening, Iman, and good evening to the viewers. It's strange, but I received the award, but I received an Ubuntu Award. I received this award on behalf of all the people that have helped me try to figure out how to get access in terms of the conversations in townships and villages in the country. And I received the award, on behalf of the unknown people who are doing amazing work, whether it's in Guguletu, in Soweto, in Kansanga, in Uganda, and some of the places that I've been to, because there's amazing people who are doing amazing things. So I've learned from them. But for me, it's also an honor to my parents because I qualified as a psychologist at a very young age. At 22, I was lecturing at VETS. I've worked for the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, Masimanyane Women's Rights International, and Salt City, just to mention a few. So I've been exposed and, I've been exposed even to innovation. If you think about A Call to Men in New York or Harlem Children's Zone in Harlem, people doing amazing things. And I've been thinking that I'm frustrated as a psychologist that I needed to figure out how to innovate, to have conversations with men in townships and villages around mental health. So I'm greatly honored.
Yeah, we were watching you and were inspired by your story, which is why we had to hear more. You sharing with us now, resigning from formal practice, getting into music with a powerful message. I love this concept of healing activism. What does it mean?
Iman, I'm glad you asked that question because that's one of the things that I've figured out. Knowledge production, which is part of what we do in academia, is a very contested space. And sometimes we use references of people that are not necessarily us. If you talk about decolonized education, psychology uses, as an example, language in talk therapy. But there are nuances in our languages that are not the same as in English. But at the same time, because we all are human beings who want the same thing, we all want what is best for our kids. So healing activism, for me, is a way in which I figure that not all form of activism is actually healing. For instance, there's a lot of people who will have good demands, like they demand a library, but they ban a school, right? That's not a good form of activism. We are a country that is used to vandalizing and destroying things during apartheid. I don't think we have fully learned how to own things that the government has placed upon us, even when we have good grievances. So I suppose for me, the reason why I put healing in front of activism is the recognition that even in our own families, if we're fighting or in our relationships or at work, we must fight because we want things to be better. We must not do the destruction that we see now, which is so violent. Even people on social media, they don't engage, to teach each other. They want to be right. Yeah. So I suppose, I'm learning new ways. After I got frustrated and I stopped working, when I was resigning, I wrote a song called Makoshe Patyake. So music has also been a vehicle for me just to express my frustrations and my aspirations and all that. And Makoshe Patyake is money in our language, it's Xhosa. But I wrote a song about what happens when you don't have money, you get disrespected. And these are some of the things that I've experienced at home, because now I'm no longer the person with money. But also music got me closer to my own belief system, to God. It inspired me to also look at people like Dr. Suleiman of Gift of the Givers and be interested in Islam, to say, okay, what is it about this guy who's doing what he's doing? So I've been following him. I even applied for a job there, because I was inspired. So it's healing activity is to say, let's heal. Let that be the focus in our activism.
Yeah. I'm sure Imtiaz will be very heartened to hear that he's kind of like a beacon for Islam for you in a way. What interests me about your story is just how multi-layered it is and how thoughtful it is in the way that it has changed, and you have allowed yourself to navigate on those waters of consciousness and discovery wherever they have emerged. But there's an important aspect of your work, even though it is all-encompassing. It's about music and universal musicality and healing activism. But it also focuses on the well-being of men and boys, particularly in the arena of mental health. Why is this piece so important to you?
Yo, Iman, I hope I'm not going to cry now because, it pains me to see, especially in townships and villages, a lot of men who do not have access even to the languaging of what they are going through as fathers, as partners, or just as people who are, there's unemployment that is high in this country. And the main marker of masculinity across the board, one of the main markers of masculinity across the board, racial lines, etc., is provision. And black men in this country are placed in such a way that, especially in townships, they don't have many options. They don't even have the language of expressing how they feel. I've been very, very, very blessed and lucky and privileged to actually have been in therapy since I trained in 1999 at UWC. I've had an amazing therapist in Tony Frank of Pinelands in Cape Town. When I moved to Joburg in 2002, I've been seeing Julie Green. These are both white people. They've been helping me to navigate and to have a language of my own trauma at home, etc., around the resentment in relation to my father and, my failed marriage and, just being the only one sometimes who has money and, some great people who are your friends, but they don't necessarily have access to healing. So all I've been trying to do now is to say to them, over and above the fact that I've practiced psychology for 15 years, in actual fact, I'm just human. So the fact that I didn't have money and I had to go to township and have people buying me tickets and opening their homes and teaching me. So this is a new way of learning how to be a psychologist. So I also had to go to my grandmother who's 104, Magaba, who's still alive. I'm thankful to God for that, and to my mom and to my aunt. So even in my own family, I have had to come as a son to say, listen, like I'm placed in a way where I'm a provider, I understand and I respect that. But I am traumatized by the fact that it's never enough. There's so much that we could do. So all I'm trying to do now in terms of the music, because I'm a very dope, I'm a very, very, very good rapper. I'm respected in these townships.
Yeah, I know, and which is why you're in the position that you are right now. I sense that we could continue this conversation endlessly, Mthetheo, but thank you for being so genuine, so humble, and for sharing with us just a snippet and a glimpse into your life and your journey. We appreciate that. Mthetheo Tshemese, who is the recipient of the Ubuntu Awards last night in terms of social responsibility.